with the University of Illinois lineup. Correction, CUNY. Number 1, Marissa Flores. Number 4, Catherine Valles. Number 10, Anicia Glasgow. Number 12, Sierra Ferrari. Number 15, Zoe Larson. And then number 20, Marissa Schneck. And then coached by Coach Ryan Martin. Now for Illinois' number 1, Jade Atkins. Number 4, Katie Robbins. Number 22, Annika Cassidy. Number 24, Bethany Johnson. Number 40, Kendall Smith. Number 25, Morgan McKim. Number 3, Amelia Stocks. Number 10, Mary Wagstaff. And then number 54, Abby Counts. And then for the head coach, then number 55, Vika Kanaji. Correction, Fonda Quinn. And then for the head coach, Stephanie Wheeler.
One semifinal has been finalized. The Alabama Crimson Tide will collide with the Wildcats of Arizona on the other side of the bracket at 4 p.m. this afternoon. But the Lady Moving Mavs of the University of University of Texas at Arlington will collide with the winner of this contest in front of us, the CUNY Beavers against the Illinois Fighting Illini. Welcome to everyone watching around the world. I'm Spencer Thompson alongside Mike Frogley, proud to be with you in Champaign, Illinois. Mike, two teams that on paper with the number 3 and number 6 seeds could be a one-sided contest, but make no mistake, This City University of New York Beavers team is scrappy. They're growing, looking for a win. Coach Ryan Martin has something cooking here for these Beavers.
Yeah, it's been so impressive to see what Coach Martin's been doing in the CUNY program on both sides, the men's and women's side, to develop a program in that New York area that was much, much needed, creating an opportunity for student athletes in that area to continue to pursue their post-secondary education closer to home and to create one more program to create just more opportunities. So really impressive this program's building. We're going to see that in the game today. We're going to see them continue to use this opportunity to grow. Illinois, traditional, legendary program. It's for them, it's using this game and this moment to prepare and really get ready for hopefully a next game for them.
And the Illini trying to simulate a game day crowd with about 160 to 175 elementary school students in attendance, so should get loud. That's why we have noise isolating headsets on us. Down inside for two, it starts out with Mary Wagstaff, the graduate student from Mesquite, Nevada, to get on the board.
Yeah, great facing cut by Wagstaff. Headed straight to her defender, did a little fake cut on her back, got in nice and close shots at the rim. That'll be key.
Anesia Glasgow, sophomore from Washington, D.C., part of the media day availability yesterday for the Beavers, gets the ball out of her reach and back in possession to the Illini.
Yeah, I like the Illini right away, quickly getting this back pick. That'll create a gap in the CUNY defense. That creates an opportunity to get to the rim for Illinois.
Coach Stephanie Wheeler in year 16, 17 of her coaching tenure here with the women's team. And we were talking about this on the last contest between Arizona and Whitewater, where Stephanie has really taken this approach to be a mentor to the other coaches around the women's wheelchair basketball intercollegiate scene.
Yeah, there was a time when Steph she was one of the rookie coaches, and now she's in that position where she gets to be a mentor for all of these young coaches. And it's a really great opportunity, and she's a great mentor.
Jade Atkin gets in for two, a 4-0 run to start off for the Fighting Illini.
So right away, Illinois able to find ways to get to the rim, either through cuts or picks or seals. And that's important because it generates high-quality shots for them.
CUNY still waiting to try to find a response. This offense runs through Anesia Glasgow, and she banks it in for two. I also noticed one element as well with this CUNY team. They have no substitutes, as going inside for two again is Adkin. So it's going to be a struggle similar to what Whitewater had last year, where they could only bring 5 players out to nationals.
Yeah, it's always a challenge to have a shorter bench, but the advantage for the players is it takes pressure off because you're not getting subbed out. You get to play, and that frees you up a lot of times in terms of not worrying about making mistakes.
Dump inside with a good look there, but could not get it to go. That was Zoe Larson, who Anesia mentioned was the most underrated player on the team. Coach very complimentary as Jade Atkin has her third basket.
Yeah, beautiful seal offside by Abigail Counts to get Jade in, her teammate, to get an easy shot at the rim. You could see the communication as they were coming down the court. You could see Counts saying to her teammate, hey, follow me in, follow me in.
We managed to get a response at to break up a 6-0 run. As we now have Glasgow will swing it around and outside the possession of Larson.
Yeah, you can see the pressure that Illinois is now extending on Glasgow, and they're going to make it difficult for her to move, difficult for her to execute basketball skills, and that is intended to disrupt all of the rest of CUNY's offense.
Abigail Counts in possession. He'll get an unimpeded path to the lane to go for the shot and the splash.
Nice drive by Counts. Just a little bit of a fake, a little bit of a lean with her body one way, froze the defender from CUNY, and then cut on that defender, went to the basket.
Timeout called by Coach Martin. 30 seconds here in Champaign.
In 2 weeks from then, that's going to be Friday.
when two analysts and either of the coaches couldn't come over. So back to action here at the State Farm Center. An 8-point lead already for the Fighting Illini. So they look to punch their ticket for a semifinal with Moving Mavs at 6 p.m. Dump inside. Schenker, too strong.
Nice sequence of picks by CUNY. They started with a wing to point cross pick, and then they brought, when that one broke down, they brought a low to high pick, and that freed up their teammate.
They keep leaving Jade Atkin alone in the paint, and she's now got 4 baskets.
I love the hustle and the read by Atkins. Atkins seeing early when her teammates controlling the ball and breaking and pushing hard full court to get that spot close to the rim.
Talk about a Fighting Illini team that ran through the Wagstaff sisters and Marion Marley. And Marley an assistant coach now for the Fighting Illini after graduating last year, as that shot will bounce off the rim from Glasgow. But good to see the alumni still in it. This entire coaching staff, all Fighting Illini alums.
Yeah, and that's been a really a significant part of the tradition at Illinois, has been the importance of emphasizing giving back and training the next generation. So you talk about that, but then there's also, you know, Steph is an example of a former student athlete that became an assistant coach. And that's been the situation in a lot of instances. Christina Ripp, former U.S. women's head coach, was a student athlete, then she became an assistant coach here, and then she was a coach at the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater for a number of years.
Yeah, Coach Wheeler mentioned she's, I guess, lack of a better term, somewhat in limbo on completing her PhD actually here at the University of Illinois, and soon to be Dr. Wheeler at some point or another. Mentioned how challenging it is, as this will go inside for Wagstaff. Mentioned how challenging it is, and I know this because I just defended my dissertation, but how challenging it is to balance all that she does for this team with trying to achieve a doctorate.
Yeah, that's I can't even imagine how a person, say, in a D1 men's stand-up program or a football program could do that. It just wouldn't be possible. So this is a shout out to Coach Wheeler for continuing to pursue that. And it's a great example to her student athletes of the importance of education and how you doggedly pursue that.
I think you had a taste of it. You got a master's degree, if I'm not mistaken, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
So you've tasted graduate school a little bit too, so you know the grind all too well.
That's how I started coaching, as a grad assistant.
That grad stipend never pays enough, as this 2-point shot for Glasgow doesn't land. And again, I could say that because I finished up with doctorate school. It never pays enough. They treat us well as best as they can, but just gets swiped away by Glasgow.
I love the way Illinois is attacking in transition right now. There's opportunities for seal reads where they could follow a defender, their teammate in, but they're reading out of that, and if the seal's taken away, they're cutting off of that. So the Illinois players are taking the complementary read. That's great, intelligent basketball.
Jade Atkin already in the double-digit mark for points on the game. Got 10 of the Illini's 16. Glasgow with the shot. Won't go.
We're starting to see a sequence now where the ball's coming down on the left side for CUNY. They're trying that cross pick, wing to point. If it doesn't work, then they're going low to high. Illinois is adapting to that, starting to take that away.
I tell you, Jade Atkin just makes it look so easy. The graduate student from Portsmouth, Great Britain, and apparently she regards herself, she says her personality is British. Like, she identifies herself as the funniest person on the team, and you can tell from that response that was given from the media notes we picked up. But even if she's the funniest on the team, you can tell how serious she's taken this thus far. As CUNY loses the ball, it looked like it was passed over to Schenker in the area.
Yeah, I love that. So Jade Atkins, she came up, she stopped Glasgow, had wheel position, then she readjusted her chair to pivot herself so her back was close to her. That allowed her to reach into the passing lane and better contest the pass. That's one of the things that's disrupting it. So there's just a tiny little thing she's doing a little bit more That's a precision. You see that in great players. There's a little bit more precision in what they do.
Talk about that veteran coach status for Coach Wheeler as Adkin banks another one in. That's a testament to how tight this team is and how well-oiled of a machine we're seeing. And certainly CUNY, again, they're a building program. Coach Martin talked about how they have faced injuries the last couple of years, and he's felt their team has been resilient through it all and have stuck and believed in the process that they have to go through.
Yeah. No, and it is a process. And again, I can't say enough about Coach Martin. There was nothing there when he started.
Yep.
No players, no program whatsoever. He's building it from nothing, and that takes a special type of person. Because to build from nothing, you have to have a different type of will. And that's what he's got. And so, shout out to Coach Martin for all of the effort and things he's doing, because he's got both a men's and women's program built from nothing. And I have every confidence he's going to be really successful with this program in the future.
Yeah, and you could see him on the top of your screen a few moments ago before we cut to this great close-up shot of Atkin, who banks it in again. I wouldn't be surprised. She's getting up to the 20-point mark so far in the game.
She's getting great looks, and she's reading cuts to get in, but she's also had counts, and her teammate Ravika to also get her in off seals a couple of times too. So she's seeing how to work with her teammates and read the opportunities that are presented.
Zoe Larson trying to go inside, too short. Almost rebounded her own shot, stays in possession to CUNY.
Yeah, CUNY getting a good look at the basket there. Illinois trying to rotate and switch. They got hooked up on the wheelchairs just a little bit. They need to turn earlier so they're free to move before the cut starts.
Tunisia, 4.0 sophomore, trying to get the better of Adkin. Won't get it as rolled out of bounds.
Yeah, so CUNY's now, they've tried to shift their game and attack in a 3-on-3 game on the left side of the court. It was successful sometimes. Illinois is now adjusting. And so now CUNY's going to have to read how to adjust out of that. There's a huge gap across the free throw line for a wing-to-point cross-picking attack.
Travel called, going the other way. About 8 minutes into this first quarter, only one foul committed by the Beavers. And substitution coming in, Bethany Johnson, the sophomore from Winnipeg, will give Jade Adkin a rest, who makes sense with how much of a workhorse Jade Adkin has been through this first quarter.
Yeah. It'll be really, really important for Illinois to get all of their players in, to get the minutes so they get comfortable in the game. They get that initial rust off. Plus, one of the things that's been really impressive about Coach Wheeler is they teach out of these substitutions. So players come off the court, they get some feedback, then they go back on the court later and apply that learning. So they're constantly learning as they go on and off the court.
McCammon outside the paint with the shot. She's got it with the rattle. Tell you, it feels like a busy Friday night with these kids here cheering on. They're fighting Illini. 30-second timeout by the Beavers.
Performax signed me when I was 16 years old, before I accomplished anything in this sport. They were the first ones who believed in my capabilities, and I'll never be able to repay them for what they've given me. Not only from a product side of it, they believed in my potential before I even did. This is my way of giving back to their organization and their grassroots program that they're putting together here at DK's 3-on-3. It's just something I'm on.
Back to action, about a minute and a half left to go in this first quarter. Glasgow on the left wing will go for the shot from distance. Almost looked like it went in from here, but arced over the rim.
Yeah, early in the game, we saw Glasgow hit a little jumper on the wing. It was about 12 feet out, and now Illinois is pushing that shot, so it's a long 2, and that's a lower percentage shot.
Swatted shot cleanly. McCammon tried to go up for it. And she keeps possession of the ball. Dump inside. Good block.
Yeah, a lot of congestion around Counts. Tough shot for her to make as a shorter player inside. That congestion means there's somebody else open in another place. That's the player they've got to find.
If I'm not mistaken, they called a block there, or they'll send it the other way.
I think it was a 10-second call.
Yep.
Illinois putting a little bit of pressure up court. Caught CUNY a little bit unaware.
Gammon inside. 2-point shot. Counts. Counting baskets.
Yeah, that was a great little pick and roll, and it was generated because offside of that, they'd started a seal that forced a CUNY defender over to rotate and stop the offside attack. That meant no help on the pick and roll.
Glasgow inside. Larson with the shot. Air ball.
Yeah, nice little triple switch when the pick got set. Good recovery by Illinois. Forced that shot.
The ratio right now, every 13 points that the Illini are scoring, CUNY's only putting up 1 free throw. You can see the effort from these CUNY Beavers trying to hold off the Fighting Illini.
Yeah, I saw Beth Johnson put her head down a little bit because she turned up, had that ball tipped out. I love Counts going over, giving a little tap. Just, hey, that's okay, let's keep playing.
From Johnson inside, trying to go with the expiring seconds. Clean block as this will bounce out on the baseline with .1. I don't know when's the last time I saw .1 left on the game clock.
Yeah, this will be a tough one to create a scoring opportunity.
I think you probably just pass it in at this point to keep possession, right?
You got to be able to tap it in. So I'd love to see if they can try this.
Nope.
Not quite.
It had a good look there, and it's been a good look for the Fighting Illini. 26-2 at the end of the first period at the State Farm Center.
My name is Maureen Gilbert. I am the coordinator of the Office of Campus Life, and I have been here for 30 years. Well, in my role as the program coordinator, I do a lot of behind-the-scenes work. So like their NIWBT registration, their academic eligibility compliance checks, travel arrangements, and scheduling. But I also get to meet with the
Started the second quarter, 26-2 lead for Illinois over the CUNY Beavers.
It'll be interesting coming out here to see some of the adjustments that CUNY might try to make. They were attacking 3-on-3 on that one side. What do they do differently now to try to attack and take advantage of space that's opening at the free throw line because of that attack?
2-point shot. Larson will get the luck of the bounce. And that's one of the things Ryan Martin, coach for the Beavers, talked about, is that he would hope that these clusters of great play from his team would turn into a complete performance. And you're hoping plays like that will build some momentum for a run.
Well, I think it's so important that when you see those good possessions, those good moments, as a coach of a developing team, you build out of those. Those show players what they can do if they follow a certain process. And so you want to show them those things and say, what do we do to get to this point? Let's keep doing those things.
We mentioned it earlier about how this team believing in the process and recognizing that it's a slow build. Ryan Martin knows that better than anybody in his 4th year here. Graduated from 2023 from SMSU. And sure, he'll be watching in some capacity with the SMSU Mustangs playing in the semifinal later today. Sure, he has to be a proud alumnus of the program.
Well, and another one of those examples of a former student athlete that's taken on a leadership role now in wheelchair basketball.
Larson over to Glasgow. About 10 on the shot clock. Glasgow will dump it inside, and ball lost by Larson.
Yeah, tiny little miscommunication between Counts and I think it's McCammon. They got caught staying on one player a little bit too long instead of calling their switch a little bit earlier. This is the game to have those things happen, iron those big bugs out for the next one.
McCammon drew the foul. Toss in coming from the baseline. They'll call this one on Glasgow. And that's one of the other challenges you have with no substitutes available on the bench. You have to be careful about how many fouls you have per player, because you foul out one player, that's game over.
Well, then you have to play with 4. And I'll tell you, I've had a couple games where, because of the classification system and fouls, we ended up with 4 players, and we had to figure out how we were going to play.
Did you guys figure it out on that?
We did, actually.
Good.
We did.
Glasgow inside for 2, air ball.
So Glasgow, lots of power there. It's really fascinating watching her take that shot. I think she could use her legs in her chair a little bit more to generate power. She's using her arms a little bit too much, and that results in a lack of control to a certain degree. What I mean by that is she's strapped into her chair. If she just presses with her feet off her foot plate, it's almost like a little, tiny little jump shot without her actually coming out of the chair.
No shot, even though it was good from Glasgow. Got a foul on the floor.
Yeah, nice drive by Glasgow. You know, she built up some more speed and momentum, saw the gap, and attacked the gap in the Illinois defense. And Illinois just a little bit late on the turn to stop that cut.
As great as we're talking about this Fighting Illini team, it shows the sort of humanity and also the art of the game when you still have these mistakes being made. Even with the team being up by 24 points, you're still seeing these chances for Coach Wheeler and company to make those adjustments, especially because you can't afford to make those mistakes against the Lady Moving Mass.
Well, it's all about every single moment you get, using it to get better, to improve. And it doesn't matter who you're playing. You have that mentality as a high-performance athlete. And so they're constantly looking for moments to improve, become better and better and better. And same thing on the CUNY side, right? Opportunities to improve and grow and get better.
Back up the Illini with the basketball, 22-point lead. Under 7 left to go before halftime. Dump inside for the 2-point shot. McCammon no good. McCammon on the season having 175 points, averaging around 7 to 8 points per game. And talked about Jade Atkin on her getting baskets. She's averaging about 22 points a game, so it's no surprise that she's getting inside of the lane whenever she's on the court. And speaking of which, I think won't be her that's coming back in. Mary Wagstaff is going to check in for the Illini as a foul is drawn.
Yeah, we could see that Illinois really wants to stay out on Glasgow and really not give her a chance to square and get set for her shot, whether it's a 17-foot jump shot or a 2-foot layup. They're going to put a lot of pressure on her, make her give up the ball. find somebody else. So it's somebody else that's got to figure out how to get open now. And that's going to be one of those other players either setting a pick or reading an open space to post up there. Yeah, Count's doing a great job staying out here, not giving Glasgow any room. She's fighting through these picks that are trying to be set. I love how she's seeing it and anticipating.
Bounce inside, gets it to Larson, who almost had the 2. Not sure why the shot clock went up there, hit off of the rim, but regardless, the Illini get the ball back. Wagstaff, circle around the free throw line, going for 2. Shot arcs over from Kendall Speaks.
Yeah, great job by Illinois as they're coming up. They're creating the right type of attack space, 10 to 15 feet, staggered spaces they're attacking, and that opens up lanes for cuts and picks in transition.
Glasgow right wing counts on the pressure, will sling it around, and miscommunication there as Larson was the only player in the area but not anticipating the pass.
And right away you see Illinois setting a back pick on the CUNY player so they can create some greater space down court and opportunities to attack. Tough pass by Glasgow. The court's really getting stretched side to side by Illinois. Makes that pass long.
Johnson inside, Wagstaff couldn't get it, went in and out. We're seeing a similar setup to earlier when we had our other women's matchup with the Warhawks in Arizona as Wagstaff misses that CUNY is really defending the paint well.
Yeah, they're really trying to collapse back in to take away the space for cuts and picks. And so what Illinois' got to do is they've got to figure out other ways of getting to the rim. Either how do you create space, how do you use seals? And we've seen a couple of seals on the part of Illinois to get some of their bigger players in. That's one of the tactics. The other will be doing what they did in backpicking and being able to create greater space up in the in that defense as they attack out of transition.
Full timeout, Illinois. Welcome you back to the State Farm Center. Under 5 minutes left to go before halftime. 28-6 lead. Fighting Illini showing out for local elementary students. And we were talking about this beforehand. Out of the many great things that Mo, as we nickname her, Marine, has done for the tournament coordination side, this is fantastic because to have so many elementary school students here, because not only do you get them, a field trip, because we remember our school days of not necessarily focusing in the classroom. I was more of a out there kid than most, but you also love that it gets them interested in the game, and then it bridges the gap to be able to build that relationship with the community.
Well, it's so powerful because the kids, when they come from the schools, what they come and they see athletes.
Yep.
And so they look at everybody whose path they cross. They don't see difference as a negative thing. They just see it as different, and they begin to really see the ability, the things people can do when they see this, and it links the community with the university. That is so important. You can't have them separate. So props to Mo Gilbert, our longtime AD here.
Yep.
Nothing but the greatest of respect for her and all the things she's done.
every bit of media availability footage I've looked through with all these teams throughout the men's tournament and the women's tournament, I love one of the questions that was asked, because that gets banked in for 2. One of the questions that they asked of every team is that, how do you feel you raise the bar in adapted/disabled sports, and how do you feel that you continue to advocate? And everyone giving the same message of that, it not only starts with us, but showing again, I thought about it when you mentioned the whole idea of we want to show athletes and not see differences, and that's a great opportunity what they're doing here.
Yeah, Wagstaff there again, another great little cut. Pushing straight at the defender, fake left to the front of the chair, cut on the back of that defender, textbook facing cut, like technically sound.
It's a reason why he was a second-team All-American on last year's campaign. Likely going to get one of those awards, with this being the first game of the Illini. And also likes to watch women's basketball in her spare time. And Sabrina Ionescu is her favorite player. Gets to soak in basketball, especially with the women's collegiate basketball scene. Incredible now in the midst of the Sweet 16 and Elite 8 for March Madness on the women's and men's side. Under 3 left to go in the second quarter.
Yeah, again, I love how Illinois is playing deep in their bench, and obviously CUNY doesn't have a bench to really play deep in. But you see Coach Wheeler getting all of her players in, and she's getting them in for the right amount of minutes. She's not overplaying them, but she's also not throwing them in there for a minute or two, pulling them out there, getting good chunks of playing time where they get a chance to go in, try some of the things, do some of the things, do some things right, make some mistakes, and come back out, learn from them, and then go back in. So she's using this as a teaching moment to grow her players. Regardless of what happens for the next game, she has that that growth mindset, constantly working to improve.
Looks like there needed to be a clarification at the stat table, an official's timeout.
Yeah, and again, great job by the coaches. Official's timeout, boom, right away.
Yep.
Get over to the bench, use this. You don't have to burn one of your own. You get to use one of these official timeouts. Coach players, make them better.
Yeah, especially on CUNY's side with all their players set to play 40 minutes of game time and a chance to rest and recover. Inbounder for Larson. Glasgow. Send it inside, back to Larson, who loses the ball.
Yeah, Glasgow's starting to get her head up, and she's starting to look offside to identify teammates that are getting open in that space. And that's one of the things we talked about. Illinois is putting so much pressure on her, she's not going to be able to create on ball. She's going to have to find teammates off ball.
And shot clock violation. Generating some opportunities, at least on the passing, getting it inside, but not able to fire it off in time. And still the point ratio at 4-1 in favor of the Illini. Score 32-8. Back right side, Wagstaff. Inside, draws the foul.
Yeah, nice little seal by Stotts. She went in through. She came in through the key on a cut, didn't get the ball, came down on the low block, facing out of the key, but fully out of the key, and then she read to just back up to set her seal for Wagstaff. Really smart play to identify that, not try to completely clear or turn around and try to readjust her position. She knew she was in the right spot to just back up. Yeah, so often we see the end basket and we give props to the player, and they absolutely deserve props for making those, but somebody set them up.
Yep.
And those are the ones, they don't show up on the stat sheet. We're not keeping track of like all the seals players do or picks they do. Probably should. Those are the things that get people open.
Now, Wagstaff and Atkin leading the Fighting Illini in rebounds, which helped generate those chances. But on the assist side, Mary Wagstaff, even though she went up for the shot there, leading the team at 124. Closest one, Stotts and Atkins at 65 assists on the year. 33-10 with under 2 left to go before halftime.
Yeah, so Glasgow, they're, again, starting to identify their teammates. She has to because she's not getting any looks, and her teammates are starting to answer.
Speaking of which, Glasgow in the paint tries with the reach. Wagstaff gets it in.
Yeah, you saw Wagstaff yelling at her teammate, attack, attack. Her teammate's so unselfish, looking at Wagstaff, thinking, I got to pass. No. Sometimes the unselfish play is for you to shoot the ball because you're the one that's open.
Winner of this game will collide with the Lady Moving Mavs of Texas Arlington. Other side of the bracket, Arizona and Alabama set for 4 p.m. in their semifinal matchup. Alabama, the 4-time defending national champions, as Glasgow banks that in. All these teams wanting a crack at Alabama and or UTA, which have been the 2 top teams in the country through the season.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you want to be tested. You start at the beginning of the season, you have a goal, and you pursue that goal doggedly, and you never let up. And for, some of these teams, that goal is to win a national championship. For others, it's to get to that 3rd, 4th place game.
Yeah, and I know at least on Ryan Martin's side, he talked about this in media day as going inside, Larson will bank in too. Mentioned that their first goal with him being in year 4, heading towards year 5, sustainability, then growth. Looking to set the systems in place and lay the foundation so that well beyond his years, the program can continue to succeed. As Wagstaff loses the ball, and no shot, 3-second violation.
Little bit of pressure up court here from Illinois. Haven't seen that, but it makes sense when we're looking at the clock and the time left in the half.
Final few seconds of the first half, and Glasgow is just going to hold on to it. So,
Yeah.
And see the sportsmanship there between her and Wagstaff, too.
Yeah, well, and it's important for Illinois to practice the decisions they're going to need to make. And this is an opportunity to practice clock awareness. Even though they've got a significant lead in the game, they want to practice the things they're going to do in later games in the tournament.
That's going to take us to halftime. We'll be back in 15 minutes, 37-14. The Fighting Illini lead the CUNY Beavers. You're watching the 2025 NIWBT on the NWBA YouTube channel.
Hi, my name is Matthew Pullen. I am the assistant coach for both the men and the women's wheelchair basketball team here at the University of Illinois, and I will be going into my 7th season this next year. I help our student athletes in their holistic development in a number of different ways. On the court, we develop them into the best athletes that they can be, whether that be with individual goals or with team goals. We like to sit down with each and every one of them and understand what their goals are while they're here at the University of Illinois, whether that's to be the best collegiate athlete that they can be, and they get the most out of the collegiate experience as a wheelchair basketball player, to all the way to being the best possible elite Paralympic athlete that they can be, if that is their end goal. We help them achieve what they want to achieve by sitting down with each one of them and understanding what they want out of their experience when they're here, because at the end of the day, our job is to help them have the best possible experience they can as a student athlete here at Illinois. To help them academically, I do check-ins with them, I have conversations with them about how classes are going, what's coming up, what does finals look like. I help make the gym schedule for all of their lift times, and I like to work around all of their classes so that they have enough time to focus on all of the pieces that they need to focus on. I got into this profession kind of by chance. If we're talking in wheelchair basketball, I always knew I wanted to coach basketball. From the moment I knew that I wasn't going to be able to play basketball at the level that I originally hoped when I was young. I was in able-bodied basketball playing through high school, and then I was even able-bodied in athletics in college when I was an undergrad. I happened to get into wheelchair basketball by chance. It fell into my lap, and it took me all of 5 minutes to tell my boss, Mo. I was like, yeah, I'll take the job, and that was about 6 years ago. I really love getting to know each one of them in those deep ways, because that makes me a better person. It makes me a better coach. I know how to coach them better. If I know more of the ins and outs of who they are as an individual, I know how to connect with them better. But outside of basketball, I just love getting to know them as human beings, because we have some great people that come through these doors at the University of Illinois, and I don't know how you wouldn't want to get to know them with who they are as people. Because a fun fact about me is, before I got to Illinois and I was coaching wheelchair basketball, when I was in my undergrad at Wichita State, I was a manager for their basketball team for 3 years. That's how I got my start in college athletics, and it's only propelled me to where I am today.
All right, my name is Stephanie Wheeler, and I'm the head coach for the women's wheelchair
Push, push, push.
Go, Josh, go hit it hard.
Come on, push, push, push,
There you
push,
go,
push,
go,
push,
go,
push,
go.
push, push, push.
So this is a pretty cool new collaboration between my lab, the Disability Movement Biomechanics Laboratory, the Department of Health and Kinesiology, and DRES, the Division of Disability Resources and Educational Services here on campus. This testing that we're doing today and with them is, it's pretty cool, pretty novel in that we're doing some human performance testing with our wheelchair athletes on campus. For the first 3 weeks of this fall semester, we'll be having the men's wheelchair basketball student athletes, women's wheelchair basketball student athletes, and the men and women wheelchair track and road racing teams. We have basically kind of 4 tests or 4 stations that we have set up. One is for motion testing, so that's marker-based motion capture, so we put a lot of little reflective markers all over our athletes and we just track their motion. And what's important here is we're able to get really high accuracy and very precise measurements of upper body motion, which for manual wheelchair users and wheelchair athletes is really important. The other stations that we have, one is strength testing. So unlike in a weight room, a conventional weight room, where you're just lifting weights, that's important too, but here we're actually able to put high accuracy and precise values, measurements with that. Our third station is musculoskeletal ultrasound, so we're scanning the right and left shoulders of the rotator cuff tendons. And also in that station, we're doing body composition scanning, where we're getting measures of their percent body fat, percent lean mass, and also some measures of percent bone mineral content, which we can use to estimate bone health as well. And then the last station, we're asking them to fill out some surveys and some questionnaires related to shoulder health, function, quality of life, a lot of different kind of bigger picture items related to their overall health and wellness. And so we use those data, those responses from them to kind of associate those with some of the data that we're seeing in the other stations to have a better big picture understanding of these individuals and of their shoulder health overall.
Physically, like me on the outside, like I'm like pretty muscular, not in my hoodie, but it was just cool to see like ultrasound, for example. You could like get in there and like see your actually the fibers of your muscle. Like it was pretty cool to see like that kind of stuff. But it was cool to see like the way like athletes see themselves like on the outside, but also like on the inside.
I mean, the risk in general of injuries is pretty high just from like the strain that you're going through all the time. And I mean, it's hard work, especially in the shoulders, and also like your elbows and your wrists and everything are getting constant work, so much more than the body was built for. I think I'm interested in like the progression over time, how the way your muscles and tendons and all that just kind of evolve through how the time that you spend like exercising, or the different variables in your health. I mean, I just want to see how those things change throughout your time. Yeah.
We were real excited when Dr. Hanks came to campus because he had that experience with wheelchair athletics, and we wanted to bring that into the university wheelchair athletics. His research that he's doing, it will give me information to be able to look at it and say, okay, someone's having this type of injury, this is what the research results came back with, and see if there's a relationship between that.
So like the ultrasound scans that they were using today is very basis on like preventative measures, like seeing how the body is reacting as a way to diagnose something before it actually becomes an issue. So if we had these scans as a baseline test their freshman year, and then we had them every year, maybe we start to pick up on something that would normally develop that we wouldn't know about, but now we have technology that we can pick up on those earlier on. Just having this testing here on campus is going to be astronomical to what it does to our programs. We already have dozens of athletes representing a variety of countries in the Paralympics right now, and what is this going to do to bring in even more on campus?
So I think I'm just excited for where this can go. Like if you look at our theme and our motto as wheelchair athletics, we're creating the best human beings as a whole. We're not just looking at a student athlete from the athlete part of things. We're looking at how are we going to help set you up, not only while you're here, but for the rest of your life to be in the best shape you can be, to live the best and fullest life that you can live.
We welcome you back to this quarterfinal of the 2025 NIWBT Women's Division. As the lead is 37-14 for the Fighting Illini over the Beavers. Both teams swap sides of the court, but McCammon will swap it around to Jade Atkin, who's back on the court after having a tear in the first quarter and almost gets another shot there. Off of her rebound, couldn't get it up. A good block by CUNY's Glasgow.
Yeah, really, really nice job by Broadbent, actually, from Illinois, attacking that point defender. So there was no ability for CUNY to rotate, to create, and that's what created that pick and roll opportunity.
I like that chance from Larson in the paint. Just too strong on the shot off the backboard. And now taking it back down, Atkin. Right side, McCammon with the shot, too strong. Glasgow in good position on the rebound.
Always really interesting to see what teams do differently, what adjustments they make coming out at the half. And so for CUNY, it's beginning for Glasgow to find other ways to get the ball in her teammates' hands, because Illinois is clearly going to contest her and take shots away from her.
Glasgow couldn't get the shot, or rebounded shot opportunity. Schenker could not land it in. And we talked about how this Beavers team has no substitutes, so all 5 of their players playing a full 40 minutes, which even in the best of circumstances is such a challenge for a basketball team. I know you mentioned that it's great that you don't have to worry about getting subbed in or out, as that gets banked in by Atkin, but certainly it has to wear on you at a certain point.
You would think it would, except for you got to remember, this is way CUNY's been playing all year. So they've got the level of fitness to be able to do that. They've designed their game to be able to do that as well. They're not pressing and picking up a full court, so if it was the first game of the year, yeah, it's going to wear on them. But they've been doing this since October, and so I fully expect that they'll be able to battle through the whole game.
They'll try to dump this inside, stolen by Atkins with the shot clock expiring. As this will be dumped back in, a pass attempt to Broadbent.
Yeah, I think Broadbent was looking to seal for McCammon and try to get McCammon in, and Atkins thought that she'd dump it to Broadbent. That's the importance of communication there offensively.
And timeout called by Coach Wheeler with 7:31 left to go in the third.
Yeah.
Yeah, so our research investigates shoulder health and function in manual wheelchair users and wheelchair athletes across the lifespan. Our goal is to educate our students and student athletes about their bodies and maximize their health-related quality of life, not just at the University of Illinois, but beyond campus life as well. So I love the human body. I love how it functions, and I love how it adapts to daily life, which includes sports and exercise. I'm also fascinated.
So Coach Wheeler calling that timeout because she wants to continue to teach. She's got some players on the court right now that don't play as many minutes as some of the other players. Rather than sub them out, have them lose playing time, she's calling a timeout and she's teaching them that. For coaches out there, especially coaches of a lot of young players, that's one of the things to use your timeouts for. They're not always to make a massive correction. Sometimes they're just to continue to teach the same way you would in a practice. Stop a play and teach.
See if that lesson has been taken to heart as it's dumped inside. Atkin has got another bucket.
Yeah, great job identifying the spaces at the elbow, attacking through there, not attacking through those screen games that are pinched low below the mid post.
Talked about the teams gelling together and having support and chemistry. One of the things you love to see on the bench for CUNY is number 24, Roger Shelton from the men's team. He's in the sweats over there taking in. And you're also hearing him give feedback to the players and coaching them up, trying to give his perspective as well, as Atkins will get the N1.
Yeah, that's so important that when you have a men's and women's program at a university, that they support each other. I think that's absolutely critical, and they don't operate in isolation because they can make each other better.
Actually, Atkins was in the area when the foul was called. That's McCammon who will take the shot for the N1. And missed the free throw there as it goes out of play. Yeah, you're right about the support, too. And remember calling several of these games yesterday, and a lot of the women's teams that were already in town were cheering on their players. For Alabama, they had a huge crowd. They always show out, but their women's team also cheering on. The women's Illinois team was cheering on their men during their matchup yesterday. Their tightly contested competition against Alabama. So it was a loud and lively crowd last night between the Crimson Tide and Fighting Illini.
Yeah, it was, and I think we're only going to see more and more of those kinds of crowds as things move on in this tournament.
Another 2-point shot attempt from McCammon does not go in, but a foul. I think you were doing play-by-play for that one, weren't you? Yeah, you were.
Might have been.
That was you and Opie, as you call him.
Yeah,
you guys had a solid call between you two.
We had a lot of fun. We've known each other for a lot of years. It's always fun to get a chance to get caught up and chat back and forth like that and talk basketball with another basketball junkie.
Glasgow inside, almost a swipe by Atkin. Shot won't land. Larson had it bounce in and out of the rim.
Yeah, nice triple switch by Illinois. Atkins, as she rotates, needs to stop her chair and then contest the ball. As she went over, she put her hand up, rolled past, so the CUNY player just do a little shot fake and then get a look.
Larson, high pass, that'll bounce away. Not much that Glasgow could do. It was great defending by Illinois to give him this breakaway opportunity. And Counts will dump it off for the pass. McCammon has got another two.
I think McCammon wanted Counts to take the layup, and Counts, as unselfish as she is, gave it up just out of instinct. Kind of funny to watch that. Oh, no, you shoot.
Shot there from Larson will bounce away. Good rebound from Glasgow. Glasgow during media day talked about the camaraderie that she had. She has also seen the improvement they've seen in every game. She labeled themselves as underdogs and mentioned they were going to put all their efforts into the tournament. You're seeing that play out in the court. What I also like is that she said when she was visiting CUNY and think about on the recruitment side, she said we just clicked, and said that her teammates are like close sisters who don't live together, but they live within the same area and are able to things just click for them in their interactions.
Well, and she's only a sophomore, and so that really bodes well. I really like the way she moves her chair.
Oh yeah.
I love the technical skill in her shooting ability and how she's adjusting as the game's going on. She went from trying to create her own shot, and now she's got her head up. She's constantly looking for her teammates, and she's starting to find some of those teammates, and that's generating some of these other points for CUNY. So a lot of promise in the sophomore.
First free throw banked down for Adkin. Mentioned how she identifies her personality as British, and also mentioned she loves dogs as well. Said she would be the first in line to pet any dogs on campus. They have a particular building here with the Illini. The name's slipping my mind right now, but they have a place where they have veterinary studies, and she would be first in line to pet any and all of them if given the chance. As Glasgow with the shot, it'll go off the rim.
Great look by Glasgow.
And this will bounce forward for another opportunity. McCammon will weave inside to draw the foul. And Glasgow, you can tell she's frustrated with that call.
Yeah, that's one of those ones where, as a defender, and I see this especially in players who haven't played as much, they'll be chasing a play and they're trying to get to that open layup. And what they need to do is they actually need to stop short, because as that player's going in for the layup on offense, they're getting set and they see the contact coming. They get their body ready in the chair for contact. if you take that contact away, they're out of balance when they shoot. And so that's what you can do rather than try to fight and fight what ends up being a losing battle.
Oh, and I could tell why Glasgow is frustrated. She fouled out. So that was her final foul of the game. And we talked about it earlier with her trying to do all she could for her team, and you could tell the disappointment on her face, at least from what we're seeing here. And it just shows the passion of how much she really cares, and said she wanted to put all of their efforts into this tourney, and very emotional on her side as Coach Martin is going to call a timeout to help recompose the team. Full timeout here in Champaign.
Hi, my name is Jordan Lopez. I am the strength and conditioning coordinator for the wheelchair basketball athletes, and this will be the start of my second year. I support our athletes by providing effective workouts that are tailored to their sport, while also focusing on injury prevention and teaching them that strength and conditioning is important for lifelong health and wellness. I've been an athlete my whole life, but I actually knew I wanted to be a coach after I sustained an injury during weightlifting. I found a passion for it and just knew that I wanted to share that with others and help them see that it's important for fitness and wellness their whole life. Definitely my favorite part of the job is seeing athletes reach goals that they did never think possible.
4:27 left to go in the third. The Beavers will play with 4 players the rest of the game as Anisha Glasgow has fouled out. 5 fouls. And you certainly hate to see it. We talked about how this team, they've been used to playing. They have 6 listed on their NWBA roster, and Coach Martin has also talked about that the last couple of years. The challenges have been injuries, and they've had other circumstances to where they couldn't get a full enough roster. And the only way to go from here is up, certainly for the CUNY Beavers.
Yeah. One of the challenges always in wheelchair basketball is the classification system as well. You can't just take and put anybody on the basketball court. You have to put people in that allow you to continue to stay within the points restriction of the classification system, the team balance rule, and that can impact your ability. So there will be times where you'll see teams that'll have 12 people on their bench but have to play 4 because they don't have the right classifications, either because of injury or a foul situation.
Now McCammon with the inbound pass, and this will go off to Speaks. We'll go inside. No shot, a foul drawn this time on Valdez.
Looks like it was a travel, actually, I think.
No, travel, you're right. You're right.
So one of the things that'll be really fascinating here, so one of the challenges for Coach Wheeler is she's got to continue to get her team ready. She doesn't want to practice bad habits in this. And she certainly can play players that don't get a lot of playing time, but she can put in different types of constraints that require players work on certain things, and that still allows a respect to occur on the court.
That's what I was going to bring up too. Is it's that balance of you want to make sure that you're still playing and not being complacent, but you also don't want to ream it in on a team that is down a player. As this shot will bank its way in for Fighting Illini, lead 50-14.
And I don't think that's a sign of disrespect.
No.
If you put constraints like that on your team, make them do certain things. Like you might say, you know what I want to do? I want to make sure everybody's touched the ball before we attack. And so that limits your transition. It forces you to pass the ball, forces everybody to handle the ball. And that's something you can do to grow your players while still showing respect for the other team.
Shot goes from distance off the glass and the rim. It's a good attempt there by Zoe Larson as the Illini will get it back. At this point, with the way the teams are, the shot goes Kendall Speaks with a rebound. Follow up Amelia Stotts trying to land it in. Gets another chance, and she'll bank it in for 2. It looks like an NHL power play where you got 5-on-4 at this point, but looks more like a 5-minute major at this point.
Well, and while it looks like that, one of the things for Illinois, this is 5-on-4. This gets them a chance to practice the 5-on-4 attack that they would do if they were back picking.
Yep.
So this isn't an unfamiliar situation and something they don't actually try to create. Now they get a chance to practice this a lot more, and some of the specifics. And some of the players that don't normally get on the court for these situations get to practice this.
Swiped up by Johnson. As he'll take it across midcourt. Johnson right elbow. Another one inside. Amelia Stotts has got it in.
Yeah, and you can see Stotts now, back-to-back shots. And one of the things you see her is you see a certain type of focus on her shot mechanics. And so this is an opportunity for her to take all those shots she's taken in practice and now begin to do them on a bigger stage like this. And this will be important for her down the road when she gets in bigger and bigger games.
Zoe Larson possesses the ball now, the 2.5 sophomore from Jameson, Pennsylvania. Passes it off, the bank-in shot, a good one from Marissa Schenker.
Yeah, really nice little pick and roll by CUNY there. They created the space, set it up, set the pick, stuck it. Didn't roll too early, waited to recreation of space, and then rolled that, gave them space for that layup.
Another shot there for Stotts. It'll be swiped out by CUNY. Coach Martin and as well as Anisha Glasgow, they were very complimentary of Zoe Larson, saying she's a very humble player and very critical for their offensive and defensive schematics. The word he used, he said she's a connector, and it makes everybody else on the team more successful in their respective roles. And you're seeing that play out here, even with being down a player. Zoe Larson is really being that facilitator, connector.
Yeah. Well, and that's so important because those types of players make the whole greater than the sum of the parts. And that's really the sign of a great team when they have something like that. So that's promising in the future for CUNY.
Final expiring seconds of the third period, a 54-16 lead for the Illini. Left side, Larson will opt to just hold on to the ball as we head to the final 10. It's been all Fighting Illini in this quarterfinal, 10 away from a matchup in the evening with the Lady Moving Mavs.
I'm Susanna Scaroni. I am a registered dietitian as well as a wheelchair racer here at the University of Illinois. I'm excited to act as the registered dietitian for the wheelchair basketball team and share what I know about nutrition. Within my role, I support the wheelchair basketball players in choosing a variety of food sources, trying to aim for food first approaches, having a good foundation of knowledge, so knowing what proteins, carbs, and fats are and what they do, and knowing that they're not just athletes, that they're students and they're humans, and hoping to support them as they just reach their potential. From a young age, I've been really fascinated with how different foods and different nutrients impact our health and performance, and so ever since high school, basically, I've enjoyed learning about different types of nutrition, different types of exercise metabolism.
We got 10 minutes left in this quarterfinal in the 2025 NIWBT Women's Tournament. Winner goes on to face the Moving Mavs of Texas Arlington. Spencer Tomset, Matt Froglia, producer Matt Talbot. Doesn't seem like I butchered that pronunciation. He's smirking. I got a good. Champaign, Illinois, hosting the NWBA Intercollegiate Championships. Men's games coming up in the semifinals shortly. Women's semifinals in the evening as well, as that shot from Larson bounces off the glass and rim here in Champaign, Illinois, heartland of America, and a couple hours south of the Windy City in Chicago.
Yeah, one of the things we see out here when we look at Illinois, one of the things that Coach Wheeler's done is she's put a lot of players of lower classifications out on the court. So they're not actually maxing out the team balance rule. And what's great about that is that means players are getting put in different roles. They get a chance to do different skills on the court than they might normally do. That's going to expand their game as each of the players individually grows. So Coach Wheeler always thinking about how do I improve and maximize the potential of my players.
This goes over to Broadbent, junior from Denton, Texas. Going with the pass off. And it's Kendall Speaks who will take it up for the shot. And CUNY on the rebound.
Great example there with Broadbent. Not normally the one handling the ball in the open court, normally one setting seals, and now she's got to handle the ball. This is growing her skill set.
Zoe Larson. Trying to weave it around, gets it swiped away by Broadbent, and go out on the baseline. Still in possession of the Beavers.
Yeah, again, I'm watching Broadbent. She's right over here on our side of the court. I can hear her communicating, talking on defense the exact same way they were talking at the very beginning of the game. She has that mindset to be her best all the time.
Very communicative on that front. Broadbent, aside from her involvement with this Fighting Illini team, she's also a member of the DUUC organization on campus that works with disability advocacy. We mentioned earlier how all of these teams throughout the media sessions all talking about how, I think it was Coach Tyree for the men's team, or the Fighting Illini, mentioned that advocacy and, trying to remember the exact phrasing he used, it was there's a blend of advocacy and competition, something like that. I'm probably misquoting him, but he mentioned it's a blend in that you have to, basically they kind of intertwine, and very much what you see here from these two teams, and trying to represent the sport well, trying to represent themselves and their universities well.
Yeah, I like CUNY. CUNY's still trying to work that on-ball pick and roll, just like Coach Martin had them do. He's doing it with 2 players instead of 3 players now, and it's getting close to being able to execute. They need to continue to have that off-ball attack while that's happening.
Ritvika Kondakrini sinks it in, the lone freshman for the Fighting Illini, the 1.0 from Louisville, Texas. He's played in 27 games and has only averaged about 0.4 points per game, banks it in there. And one of the things about Ritvika that team was praising her with is that she's actually the team hairstylist. So all of those braids you see for the Fighting Illini, she purposely makes sure, the exact phrasing on the media guide we got is that she braids on point before every game. I'd like to see the freshmen helping them out, especially with how important it is to make sure the hair is kept in control during the amount of motion you have back and forth.
Well, everybody's got a role they play, and they bring something to a team. And that's Ritvika's role, or one of her roles, because she's done an awesome job also sealing and getting her teammates in at various times that I've seen so far.
And a good swipe by Valdez, too, the graduate student from Ecuador. Getting a good piece of the ball to give it back over to the Beavers.
There's that attack on the left side of the court we saw in the first half from CUNY. It was Glasgow handling the ball. Now it's Larson.
Down to the final 4 seconds on the shot clock and winding. We'll go up for it. This will not hit the rim, and we'll head back the other way. So, for all intents and purposes, the matchup here is as soon as the score holds, the Fighting Illini are going to move on to the Moving Mavs. We'll get to that in a second. But I'm interested in this 5th place matchup at 8 in the morning tomorrow between Whitewater and CUNY. You got 2 teams that both of them growing in their respective positions as we got a timeout on the floor. We'll talk about that on the other side of the break.
My name is Ibn Ham, and I'm the graduate assistant for the men's and women's wheelchair basketball teams, and I'm entering my 5th year at Illinois as a first-year master's student. As a graduate assistant, I'm in charge of the daily operations, and I support our athletes' development by creating an environment where athletes can solely focus on their performances and development as basketball players. Whether it be during practices, games, or on the road, I make sure that everything outside of basketball is all properly set up and running smoothly in order for any distractions to be removed and allow our athletes to focus on their growth and performances. Having been a soccer player for over a decade until high school, I always knew I wanted to do something in sports, which led me to study sports management at Illinois. And this ultimately brought me to join.
Back to action, 5:51 left to go in the game.
Here we go. Nice cross pick by CUNY. And there's the roll to the basket. Nice rotation by Broadbent from Illinois to take away that roll.
Right side shot will hit off of the glass. Illinois will get it back in possession. So what I was mentioning before the break, Whitewater and CUNY in this 5th place matchup. Last couple of years with the women's division, it's ended up being those two teams as the foul is drawn. And it'll be interesting to see kind of the dynamic swapped because if I'm not mistaken, CUNY last year had 1 or 2 subs going down to nationals, and Whitewater didn't. So, but both of these teams are very much used to having to play the full 40 minutes for their rosters and having the same sort of fatigue and trying to build their cultures and get excitement around their programs. So even though it's for 5th place and not an actual plaque or anything given to the teams for that, it'll still be good to see that final competition for both of them on the stage.
Yeah, one of the comments we made the other day was for those teams, next season starts tomorrow. And so use that game with that mindset. How are you going to continue to improve? It'll be interesting to see what they do. Whitewater pressed a little bit earlier this morning when they were playing against Arizona. Do they press CUNY? And then how does CUNY handle that? Do they stay packed in, or do they start to stretch their defenses because they feel more confident? And so there's a lot of opportunity to see them stretch themselves, see how much they can do in a game, and begin to set the bar and set the path for next season.
That shot won't land for Schenker. How about this semifinal we have tonight between Illinois and the moving Mavs? You think about the last several years, it's been between Alabama, UTA, and Illinois as this gets banked in. For the teams making it to the championship, don't count on Arizona too, and we'll talk about that in a second. But for Illinois, UTA, this is one of those matchups that I think will be closely contested, especially because Illinois has the home court advantage.
Well, I think the home court advantage certainly will help, but they've gotten closer and closer. And I was watching tape a couple of days ago of their last game, and I thought Illinois had opportunities to execute offensively, and they didn't. Like they missed some shots. They've done a lot of things right to create good scoring opportunities, but the shots just hadn't fallen. And so it's going to be interesting. If UTA's watching their videotape, they're taking a look and they're seeing that, you know what, we let somebody get to the rim. Illinois on the other side, they're like, hey, we're doing a lot of things right. We just have to finish. There's a little bit more focus at the end of our shot. So it's going to be interesting to see who has grown the most from the last time they competed, when I believe they were down in Arlington at UTA's campus.
Should be a good matchup. We were talking with Matthew Poland, assistant coach for the Fighting Illini, and he was mentioning how they had some close matchups with UTA on their last couple of games where they did lose by 6, but they still kept it within 2 to 4. So they were competitive with the Lady Moving Mavs. And on the other side of the bracket, Arizona and Alabama, always it's ending up being the huge rivalry. All these teams rivals with each other and having close-knit competitions. But Alabama and Arizona starting to get to that point, especially because Arizona's coaching staff, they play on the Paralympic U.S. team with a lot of the Bama players on there, in Bollicky and Moody and Igselt, and I believe Moira Paulus may have been on that roster too, or at least those top 3. But a lot of a lot of synergy, chemistry stuff, but it's also some of the best competition, the sort of chess match you see between the Wildcats and the Crimson Tide.
Yeah, I'll be interested after watching the Wildcats play this morning and watching them a little bit on tape over the last little while. What are they going to do? I don't know that they're going to be pressing Alabama. I don't think that's going to happen. But how they take that defense that they were practicing full court, what does that look like against Alabama? Trying to take away any transition game Alabama has. I think that'll be really, really big. And then they're going to have to diversify how they execute. But they're growing, they're getting better, and they want to challenge Alabama. They don't want this to be an easy game. They want Alabama to be, have to play their best and get the best out of them. And then you let the chips fall where they may.
Tell you, from talking with Coach Hines and the success he's had with that team, they sort of have a team goal to get to double digits on the 10-second violation mark for several games. And I haven't seen any team in the country do better than them as Broadbent banks it in. I haven't seen any team really cause those 10-second violations more than the Crimson Tide.
Well, and it'll be interesting because at this point, the teams have all played each other.
Yep.
They know what's coming up, and one of the things you do is you practice for the other team. You get prepared. And so it'll be interesting to see as we get into the semifinals and finals, so the different teams and how they adjust to that. It's really hard to put full court pressure on a team for an entire game at this level, because teams do adapt, adjust, they understand how to attack offensively, how to create the appropriate space, the width in the court, and then the staggered space to get picks, and that frees people up for layups. And a coach has to be able to decide, am I going to let these layups happen? Is it a good trade-off right now, or do I need to back it off?
Zoe Larson couldn't capitalize on the N1 opportunity, but banked the shot. The foul was called on Broadbent. A minute 25 remaining in regulation. 70-16 the lead for the Illini as they bank in another to get to 72.
Great little seal by 55 from Illinois. That's what got Beth Johnson that wide open little post-up shot.
Well, Coach Martin will get a chance to regroup with this team as they will have a rest until their game at 8 in the morning tomorrow against University of Wisconsin Whitewater Warhawks, as that foul stops us at 53.7. And very short turnaround for the semifinal teams, at least the ones that played in the wild cards. Arizona waiting until 4 p.m. to play their game, and Illinois waiting until 6. But it's what they're used to, especially with these tournaments throughout the season where they have games that separate usually 1 or 2 per day, get to kind of do a pool play in essence with all the teams in the women's division.
Yeah, it's not unusual for these college teams. Their league play is done in tournament format, so they're traveling to each university on the different weekends. They'll play multiple games over the course of the weekend, and sometimes it's not unusual to play 2 games in a day at all. I've seen schedules that have had 3 games in a day, and so I don't see the 2 games in a day as being a problem for these teams at all.
Just a little bit of a rest for the moving Mavs and the Crimson Tide. Get that extra rest and only needing 2 games to win a national championship. Alabama defending it 4 years straight, trying to go for another national title.
You see CUNY trying to set some picks up high, cross picks, point to wing. There's the triple switch. Oh, they missed on the switch. There's the roll to the basket by CUNY. Nice play by CUNY. Continuing to work on the picking and finding a space to attack.
And you can even see and hear it from the bench, Glasgow cheering him on. She's still giving that encouragement and everything to the players. And the Fighting Illini get it done in front of a crowd of their local elementary school students, 72-17. They have a matchup in the evening with the moving Mavs of Texas Arlington. I have a feeling this crowd is going to be rocking in the evening with them being sort of the headliner match.
I think it's only going to get louder as the day goes on, as more and more people filter in. What a great thing to do on a Friday afternoon here in the Midwest, in basketball country. I'm excited for the evening games. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Should be fun. That'll do it here from Champaign for this quarterfinal matchup. Matt Frogley, our producer Matt Talbot, all the hardworking men and women that make this run so smoothly. I'm Spencer Topset saying so long from Champaign. Illinois moving on to the moving Mavs in the semifinals.